Organizational structure. What is this organizational structure? Any society, any institution is built upon a structure. It has some inherent characteristics which help it to function. Organizational structure, it can be defined as a system that shows a direction towards the achievement of the organizational goals by organizing activities such as task allocation, coordination, supervision, and reporting relationships systematically. Main concerns are effective communication and coordination so that the organization can function in the most efficient way. It tells about the nature of the organization, that how the organization is working. The inherent characteristics include what are the roles of the people who are working in the organization, how is the power distribution inside the organization, what responsibilities are assigned with these roles, how the coordination is done between different persons, how the information flows between the different levels of management. We have values, we have strategies, different nature in our business, and there are different structures for the organization. On the basis of different characteristics, there is not one structure for the organizations. Organizations, as many organizations are there are different structures existing, and on the basis of their requirement, the organizations are changing their format, their structure. What are the determinants of organizational structure? On what factors the structure depends? Like what is the size of the organization? What is strategy the organization is going to adopt for its functioning? There is changes in technology, and this influences the kind of a structure the organizations may adopt. What is the chain of command, the span of command, how this power distribution is being done? What is the environment, internal, external, all, power and control, and differentiation, integration in the organizations? We will be looking at each of these factors separately. Now, size. What does it refer to? Capacity, number of personnel, outputs, and resources. Very easily we understand it with the number of personnel working in the organizations. It gives us how large or small the organization is. But because with the increasing size, we need to have some format in the organization to have the proper flow of communication from top to bottom, from bottom to the top. Some of the practices such as flexibility in personnel assignments, what assignments are being given to the people in the organizations, how authority or power is being delegated, and what are the organizations focusing on, results or procedures. Because in the large organizations there are many units. It is very difficult to look after each and every person separately, so there are separate units and these units are being taken care of. How the things work with the increase in the size. Management may become a little different when the size of the company, the organization is small. When it is large and when it is very large, the management of in such an organization is very different. Then comes the strategy. What strategy am I adopting as an organization? If I want to be proactive and be futuristic and look at the things before these are coming in the market, or am I the reactive type? My strategy is the reactive type, that this happens, so I'm acting like this. And in many of the reactive times, it may happen that I will be at the back foot, maybe at the back foot. Organizations also prepare themselves for the far-reaching results. So they have to have the far-sightedness, sorry, uh, look in the future, not far, look into the future, that what may happen and how they might have to react. Accordingly, they form their strategies. What products to be launched, how to shape the market and everything. Technology, there are many different changes from but now we are having the automated machines in the organizations, and also the artificial intelligence being used to operate those machines. So there is a huge change in the technology, and organizations are adopting to survive in the market. Now, what is chain of command? It is the line along which orders and decisions are passed down from the top to the bottom of the hierarchy. And the span of control describes the number of subordinates that report to each manager. So chain of command works from top to the bottom, and span tells us that with each manager, how many people or subordinates are working under that manager. We can say that as the uh, uh, number of people are more under the control of one manager, then wider is the span of control for that manager. And how many more are working under me? But in a tall organizations where there is the hierarchy is vertical, it is in practice that they follow a narrow span of control so that the manager is also not overburdened. If many more and more number of people are coming to report to just one manager, it will be difficult for the manager also to take care of each and every person. So there are large number of managers in the tall organizations so that each and everything can be taken care of. In the environment, there are so many different changes that are happening, and some are like environmental complexity, uncertainty in the environment, and in what time horizon we are working. Like the east and the west, there is a difference in the timing. If we are working in the day and there is night, so that makes a difference that how to work in such a scenario. If we are working across boundaries. Power and control relates to the decision making and allocation of resources, that how the power is being distributed along the line of chain of command, and how it is being uh, practiced. like the resources can be at one place, and the personnels would go to that person having the resources to start their work. So in that case it becomes a centralized power. And but if it is shared throughout the organization, then it becomes the decentralized kind of case. Differentiation and integration. When an organization is large and very large, and in such a manner that there are different units inside the organization, like we have Tata Group of companies where there are different units. One is Tata Motors, Tata Steel, Tata Chemicals, Tata Consultancy, and so on. We have Reliance Industries. There's so many different units are there. There are petroleum. With these different units, there is a differentiation mode that each unit is a different kind of organization working separately. But because the chair for these different units is the same, and these are working under the same organization banner, so they have to integrate at some point. They have to report to the same person, and some integrative mechanism is there internally so that these differentiated organizations come together at one platform. This is called the differentiation integration theory. That these units may be working separately because they are working in the separate areas, but at some platform they come together, they report together to form the one report for that company, working at different platforms, coming together at the one platform. Differentiation integration. Division and subsequent coordination of tasks is the two main important functions in this factor. Now, what are the different structure types? Based on these different characteristics defining the structure, some of the standard which were followed in the organizations are centralization, decentralization. These are some of those. Some of the newer organizational designs are given on this slide. Let us see each one separately. When the power is being at one center, allocated at one center, then it becomes the centralized structure point that each one has to go to that power center to get permission for some work, to report for some work, and to get resources for any idea. Then it becomes centralized. But when the decision making is being distributed at different centers in the organizations, is shared at different levels, various subdivisions, then that structure is known as the decentralized organizational structure. The decentralized structure is generally found in multifunctional, multi-locational, and larger organizations where there are different units, and it becomes very difficult to always report to same person at some different point of reference. So working according to their units becomes a more convenient one in the decentralized structure. When there are different divisions inside the organization based on the kind of product being produced, or if there is difference in the geographical areas, so there are different divisions. then that function, that structure is known as divisionalization. That on the basis of the divisions, the company is acting. At different divisions, there are separate managers taking the decisions, doing the work, and then the company is running efficiently. All the powers, in that case, all the powers are being given to the head of the division. There are different departments at the same place, and the head of the departments may be given the maximum level of autonomy in terms of decision making, making the strategy for the departments, how to function. Then in that case, it is known as departmentalization. We have some common forms like functional departmentalization, that what functions are being performed in separate departments, or on the basis of what product is being produced, so product departmentalization. If we are targeting common customers in the organization, different sections may be having common customers, so it makes it a customer departmentalization, that we are targeting the same customer. On the basis of the territory, geographic departmentalization is there, that these separate units are in separate geographic areas, and it will become a little difficult to coordinate, so separately we manage and then come to one platform. Bureaucracy is being followed at many different places, with the hard rules and regulations and the hierarchical structure. It is being said that the government organizations generally have bureaucratic structures, though changes are coming in, but still bureaucracy is there. Standard set of rules are there to be followed, standard set of procedures are there to be followed, and that makes it, these things are being made in the hierarchical terms. Hierarchy has to be taken care of in bureaucracy. We have matrix structure, that the teams are being formed. Nowadays, teams are very functional in many of the organizations, and in maximum organizations, the teams are being formed, and these teams work on the autonomous basis, take decisions on their own, but they report for what is happening in the team, by the team, they report. But in the matrix structure, the team members report to one, to different managers, maybe two or more managers, and these reporting to the managers they are reporting, it may happen that they are outside their teams as well. So when the reporting personnel is are many, it gives a different matrix structure. But because it is in the team format, these are not the long-term working relationships that can happen here. It is on the basis of the task that is being given to the team. Once the task is over, the team is dissolved. And then in that case of chain of command, with the dual chain of command, everything dissolves. Why there is dual chain of command in the matrix structure? When a team is being formed, the personnel are being chosen from separate units. Then this personnel who is in the team has one project manager under whom the person may be working currently being a part of the team, but the person also has a manager from the in the department from where the person is coming, and so the person has to report at two places for his being in the organization for the work he may be doing, separate works it may be, but has to report at different places for his being in the organization, his or her being in the organization. So there are different chain of commands from where the personnel may be taking the commands, the instructions that what is to be done. It is being performed in this manner in the matrix structure to increase the efficiency in the organizations and to function in a much better way. Sometimes it creates confusion because the person has to report to many different managers, and the differentiation in the part of information flow has to be made, that which information to which whom. Next is the network structure. It includes the linking of numerous separate organizations to optimize their interaction in order to accomplish a common overall goal. It requires the synergy and a high level of collaboration because it is linking separate organizations, not only the units. Organizations are coming together for some kind of work, then it makes a network structure. Like as an organization, I may have to hire somebody, and my organization needs to outsource this function for some time. So I can, as an organization, I can contact any HR consultancy to come to my company to work on this purpose, and in that way we are networking. Say networking for some, reaching out to the customers at some place, we can contact some other suppliers, and the suppliers can help us in launching the product in the market on a bigger and bigger platform. So networking helps us in increasing the efficiency and the profit work in the organization. Self-managed teams. Technologies are used to deliver the product or services which are highly complex because the marketplace and the organization environments are continuously changing. For teams, targets are being set, and its first priority is to achieve those targets in the stimulated time frame. The teams have been found to be to increase the functionality of the organizations to a great extent. There are many different names being given to the spaghetti organization. It almost lacks the structure. There is flexibility, and the flexibility only that we can say, which a little difficult to manage, but it helps to modulate itself at any point of time according to the situation which may be happening. Next is the fishnet organization. It can form and reform varied patterns of connection again increasing the flexibility in the organization so that you can, as an organization, we can have at our convenience the structure. It is adaptable, necessary in today's downsized corporations. Whenever we are cutting down on the size, asking the personnel to leave in the some difficult times, this has to be done by certain organizations. Then this fishnet organizational structure helps in that manner. Ad hoc cooperative web. Because of the technology, many of the things have become easy for the organizations to also to handle. But even then, downsizing is not an easy task. In present context, we are talking about the virtual organizational structure interacting where the members are interacting with each other completely via telecommunications. It has to take care of the kind of relationship we are having with our partners in this case, because it is mostly through the technology. How we are using the telecommunications to increase the mobility of the communication and the responsiveness in this communication, how to give the responses in the virtual mode. Even today, with the span of the telecommunications, the spread of technology, people using this technology for all the communication purposes, but it may sometimes it becomes difficult to get the responses from the market, from others for certain purpose. And in that case, it becomes very difficult. It may become very difficult for the organizations. Without the response, they may not be knowing that where they are moving. So using the technology and getting the responses is very important. Then only the members can decide between the alternatives they might have brought onto the table. And in this case, the trust between actors or the members is very important because they are separated in a space. We may not be having, though with the help of technology, virtual communication has become easy, but even though physically not being in the face-to-face communication, so developing the trust among the members is a difficult task. But these organizations are seen as the emerging standard in the business nowadays with the technological advances. These are emerging very fastly. It is one such organizational structure which is considered self-organized system to continuously change with a structure and internal processes based on the feedback with the environment. We are learning, continuously learning and adapting with the changes. We learn, we unlearn, we relearn to receive and to be efficient with the changes in the environment, not only to survive as an organization, but to excel in what we are doing. So keeping on learning is one such factor that keeps the organization going. Adaptive learning must be joined by generative learning, where it enhances the capacity to create. creation, innovation has to increase. Here we come to the end of this topic. In the corporates, restructuring can take many forms. Then what can allow you to restructure the format you are having in your organization when we are expanding, increasing the size of the organization, when we are acquiring some new company. It is I am in one area of FMCG, but I am acquiring somewhere in the technology IT company. So when I'm acquiring some new company and the new areas, how will it function? In that case, separate structures have to be followed, might have to be followed in separate units. When two companies merge together to form a single company, then there are a large number of people, and how to manage the two organizations when they become one. Amalgamations, when there are two or more organizations coming together, there may be unit amalgamations, there may be the complete organization amalgamations. Then when they are coming together, that this restructuring has to be done. With a change in the power control, the restructuring takes place many of the times. When there are joint ventures, when two or more companies agree to provide certain resources for achieving a common goal, joint ventures, it is on the task basis that is being done. These are some of the forms where corporate restructuring has to be considered for the efficient functioning or achieving the goal, what is achieving the targets